This tutorial we're going to cover inventory control, and that would be this button right here. So we'll go ahead and click that and open up the form. And from here we can do some various things concerning inventory. Let's just go ahead and pull up, try Yale first. Actually, let's do Curry so I can cover components and things like that. Alright, so I've entered Curry's as manufacturer. I can click get all parts, and it's going to bring up everything in a database that's under the Curry's manufacturer parts. So I've got doors, frames, parts, components, a little bit of everything. And from here I can do some different things, like I can set a reorder quantity for specific parts, so that when they reach a certain, here's one here, when this store, when stock, and that's things that are in inventory, get to a certain point, which will be 10 or less, you'll get a notification, and that'll show up right here under parts to be reordered. So you'll get a notification that you're low on inventory and it needs to be reordered. And so you can set these quantities to anything you want that works for your business. And on this grid you can see there's the part number, description of the part, and you can widen these if you like. If you don't need the description, you can shorten it so you can see all the columns. This will tell you how many are currently in stock. Doesn't look like we have much of anything in stock as far as Curry's. Oh, there's a couple items. This will be the new stock quantity. So you can use this form when you take inventory. If you have Portal Pro on a laptop or something, you can take it out to your warehouse and pull up all of the Curry's products and start doing your counts and enter your counts here, and this will be the new stock number of how many you have currently on your shelf. And again, this is for inventory. Typically you would not enter inventory that you have set aside for jobs or customers or things like that. Now check with your accountant on that. Don't take my word for it, but typically I think that's how it usually works, but I could be wrong. So you have the current quantity in stock. You also have the list price. Now you can update these list prices, but if it's part of Toad, I would not do that here. Let Toad handle that. But you may have products that you've built in Portal Pro that you did not get from Toad. So in order to maintain those prices, one thing you could do is check this box up here. It says exclude Toad parts for pricing. And if I click that, we'll say, do you want to continue? Say yes. So you can see we don't have very many. We have some kind of a door here that if that list price has changed, you can make the change here and save it. And it looks like these are sidelight frames that probably came from the frame detailing program. So if any of these prices have changed, you can make that change here. Now anything like this though, you might want to be careful. This would probably have components. So you would want to change the pricing on the components, because that's what generates the total list price on the whole frame. But you could have other, let's see if we have see if I can find something that might be in here. Oh, they've only got one. Okay, well there are products, manufacturers in Portal Pro that we do not have any pricing built for, but may have had some products that were added. Oh, let me think. They're advanced. Advanced safety devices, maybe? Nope, still don't have anything. Okay, so anyway, that's how you can update prices, the list price for any products. Let's go ahead and go back to Curry's. Now, in addition to the updating the list prices, you can also update the inventory location. And that's the location where these products, oh, I should have unchecked that. You can update the inventory location. Now, one kind of an easy way of doing that, now this already has a lot of okay, here we go, some lights and louvers. These are listed as inventory parts, so these could be items that we would normally stock on a shelf somewhere. And one thing you can do is you can narrow down this category, and I believe that would be let's do door accessories. Okay, here we go. Let's just start here with these astragals. So typically these items are all probably kept in the same spot. From building to road to section, they might be on different shelves depending on maybe the length or whatever. So you can update several of these at one time. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to check the first one. I'm going to use the arrow key on my keyboard to arrow down and then hit the space bar on my keyboard, and that automatically checks that next box. So I go all the way down and I'll check all of those astragals. Now what I can do is, so they're all building 1, they're all in row 4, section C, and maybe I'm going to leave the shelf empty for now. But what I can do is I can select update inventory, and you see it copied all that data in here. Now the shelf might be could be different for each one of these items. I could type in this right into this field if I like, hit the arrow key on my keyboard, and do something like that. So once I get the data into these fields, they have not been saved yet. So be very careful that you don't do something to change something and you end up losing this data. So if that's what you want to keep, then go ahead and click Save Inventory, and it'll save those changes you just made, so that anytime anyone pulls up this particular astragal, they'll know exactly where it's kept. Now sometimes you have to wait a little bit because it goes through and it updates every single item. Even though there aren't any changes, it still has to look at that item to see if anything has changed. So we'll just give it a pause for a minute, and when it's done, you'll get the updated message. So we'll just say OK. So now that's been saved to our database. That's always going to be there. So if any reason it ever changes, you can come in and edit changes here. You can also edit that kind of information under Add Edit Products. There is a section right here where you can take care of inventory, but here you're going to do it one at a time. You have to open up the item, enter the data, and then click Save Product. So this form gives you the opportunity to do more at once. Okay, now another thing we can do is, you notice there's a part type here, An inventory part, that's something that you would normally stock in your, now this is set up according to the way I believe QuickBooks handles inventory. An inventory part is something you normally stock, put on a shelf somewhere in your place, and it's counted as inventory, and it's there to resell at a later date to whoever. Non-inventory parts could be physical items also, but they could be stocked, put on a shelf somewhere, but they are not counted as inventory. That's because they're assigned for a specific job or specific customer. So it's my understanding you don't have to count those in your inventory counts once a year, however often you do it. So that's inventory part. The other option you have is assembly. Now an assembly is what we use now for things like frames. Right here. You have a three-sided frame that's made up of components. So this item is not counted as inventory. It's just a part number that exists, and you, in the added products or sales order, whatever, whenever you pull up this frame, you'll see it has components, so you'll be able to click that button to show the components for this frame, which in this case, like this one here, would be a 2-foot head and a 7-foot left-hand hinge jam and strike jam. Now, if for some reason you don't want to use assemblies, if you always order your frames as a three-sided frame and you don't order them by components, you can change it here. And you can make the change pretty quickly just by, if I were to select all of these, see it highlighted all of them. Now I can come up here and I can change this to an inventory part or non-inventory, whatever you want to change it to. It's your choice. And then I can click update part, and it'll change all of these to an inventory part. And when that happens, then when I'm in a sales order, an estimate, or something like that, and I select one of these frames, it will no longer show components. You will not be able to enter any components because it'll be treated as an inventory part itself, and that's how it's going to be counted. So keep that in mind. That's where you can change any of this at any time. You can also, here it says show stock only. If I check that box, let's uncheck these. We'll get part numbers. Looks like we don't have anything in stock, so that didn't return anything. But that would show items that are currently showing items in stock. Let's go ahead and check that. Okay, my mistake. It's looking for hollow metal frames with an inventory part as a part type. We don't have any. So I need to change this either back to assembly or leave it blank. And now I can get all the parts. Okay, so you can also search by the part type also. So keep that in mind. Now, let's see what else we have. This is something you can select items with empty shelf. We don't have any, we can't really, we're not, typically you won't do an inventory location for a full three-sided frame like this. You're going to do it by the components because that's what you're going to go pull out of your warehouse to put this frame together. But again, if you need to change that, you want to use three-sided frames, you have that option right here. All right, let's see what else we got. Now I can also print out a list. If I click this button, this prints out a list that I can print out on my printer. and I can now carry this out to the warehouse if needed. And I can enter information like how many I do have in stock, the building, the inventory location I can fill in, bring this paper back into the office, and then come into this form and then start entering the data the way it's filled out on this form. So that's another option you have. So again, you can just type in the quantities that you need, the information here as needed, or you can use these fields right here to update the inventory location. And again, any changes you make to this grid, make sure you click Save Inventory. And if you are updating list prices, again, you don't use this if you're doing anything that comes from Toad. But if you're updating prices for anything else, and you did make any changes, make sure you check this box before you save inventory, because it will also update the list price. And I believe that should pretty well cover it. Now, one more thing, you can search by just a specific part number. We'll get that part. And then if you need to make changes just to this part, you can do it like that. All right, I think that pretty well covers everything on here. If there's any questions on this, or if I missed anything, give us a call or email, and we'll be more than happy to help you out. Thanks.